What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. What a day it's had. What a day. Big shit's going on, you guys. We're not going to talk too much about the news. Apparently, there's some compelling evidence that the ETFs are going to get past an ETF, multiple ETFs. You know, who cares? We're talking about the technicals, though. And I'm not saying who cares as in it doesn't matter. It's ultimately going to be a beneficial thing for the price if ETFs for Bitcoin get passed, of course. But I don't really focus on news-driven stuff or the media, right? I try to focus on the technicals itself. And if you guys are new to the channel, if this is your first time seeing this video, hit a like, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more technical analysis done. We're going to get into it right now. So the reason why yesterday was such a big day, you guys, is look at that right up here in this area where the percentage is, right? Right here, we had a 10.26% day. That's a very big deal. Okay, it has been 340 something days. I don't know exactly, but I know it's like 340 days, almost a year since we've seen a day either closing red or closing green that's been 10% or more of a gain or a loss. We have not seen a 10% day in nearly a year. I'll show you when the last 10% day was. So all the way back here, November 10th of 2022. You can see the date down here, right? November 10th, 2022. It was a 10.57% day. We've had days that were close. Here was one, it was 9.59%. You know, we've had, 5.9, I don't know, you know, stuff, even this red day here, 7.22%. We've had days that were big, kind of, but we don't really know what a big day is anymore, man. Like, this is the longest stint. I'm pretty sure before this stint, this like 340-day stint without a 10% day, the longest stint we had was like, it was either 60 days or 80 days before that. This is a humongous dry spell that we've had for Bitcoin, and we just broke through it, right? We just broke it. And not only that, on a day that we also broke through this area of resistance, this kind of whole zone that we were in for a long time, since basically March of this year. We are showing very strong readings on the RSI, guys. The last time we had readings like this was back in January, and I think that says something about what the price is going to do. Let's go over it right now. So looking at this, right, a lot of people make the misconception, right, that whenever the RSI gets overbought, especially when it gets really high overbought, that's it. It's going to go down. And yes, the RSI goes down. That might be it for it temporarily, right? But the price does not. That doesn't mean that it's going to hit lower lows or anything like that. That doesn't mean that it's going to be another cycle before you're continuing higher, right? In fact, if we look at this RSI, I'm going to blow it up a little bit right there, right? This was actually just the beginning. Just the beginning. Yes, we had pullbacks. Yes, we had pullbacks afterwards, but it was all in all, right? Even if you bought in this very high overbought zone at about 21K, 20K, I mean, how many of you wish that you'd bought at 21K, 20K right now? You know, like that was still a good area to buy. It was just the beginning. This RSI, this strong move is what kicked off the rest of this move that crawled upwards. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing now, right? We've been in a very kind of parallel sideways moving pattern for a while. I thought it was a broadening top for a second there, but you know, with this low, it definitely proved that wrong. But here we are breaking out of it one way or another. You can definitely see we're breaking out of it. Volume is building. You can't really see it, but volume is building as we're moving out. We're above the purple line. A lot of bullish things are going on, guys. And that's just the price. We haven't even begun to talk about the fibs. The fibs are also showing bullish things. But all in all, again, back to the main point that I was just talking about with this RSI, I think that this is a symbol, a sign that we are in just the beginning of an overall move that's going to take us higher, right? Last time we went from about 15.6K, right? I think it was 15.5K, all the way up to about 31K. Okay, yeah, literally like 31K on the dot. This time, we're going from 25K to who knows, right? It might be 50K. It might be higher than that. But, you know, I don't think that we're just going to move to new all-time highs. I don't think that we're just going to go to 50K overnight, right? This took months to achieve, and I think that we're in the midst of that. You know, it doesn't, just because it looks quick relatively on the weekly basis, you know, if you guys have been around in crypto for at least the last year, you know that it's felt like a slow crawl, like a very slow crawl, especially since April of this year, maybe March. Yeah, March. It's been a slow crawl, but here we are seeing some exciting stuff. I think it's a very big deal that we had our first 10% day in over a year. That's a very big deal indeed. I mean, this just kind of proving the legitimacy to this move and how strong it is. I don't think this is a fake out by any means. To anybody who was hoping that prices were going to go lower, myself included, man, when we were down here, I really did think that we were going to go down to about 23, 24K. I know some people were calling for prices to go a lot lower than that, but you know, I was thinking somewhere around this previous area of resistance would have made sense, but we didn't get it, man. We really didn't. We double bottomed, and then we moved up, had a very bullish move up, and we're building volume. Like, you can't deny it. You definitely cannot deny it at this point. But looking at the fibs, guys, there's some compelling evidence that we're going to go higher on the fibs as well. If we look at this from a low point to a high point here, we're going to use extensions. Okay, you can see that you found support on your 1618 extension area. Okay, you came up, found support on your 1414, and then rejected your 886 area once, and then right off it twice right here. Generally, with this kind of look, whenever you reject your 886 like this, especially twice, I shouldn't even say generally, it's like statistically speaking, you are very likely, like very, very likely, to go down to your 1272. Even if you're going to move up, it's very likely that if you reject your 886, this kind of maneuver is very, very common. The fact that we couldn't even get down here, there was so much buying pressure, there wasn't enough selling pressure, however you want to label it, man. The fact that we couldn't get to this 1272 is a very bullish indication in itself. The fact that we broke through this 886 like butter on this attempt right here is a very bullish sign in itself too. Here we are sitting at the 786. Based off of this fib alone, I would say that we have a very solid chance in a very short amount of time to go anywhere from about $40,000 to about $37,000, somewhere in that range before this move's done, right? Before this move is done, probably maybe by the end of this month, maybe sometime in the beginning of November, something like that, and then we can talk about a little bit of a pullback, right? And then ultimately, just because we have a little bit of a pullback doesn't mean that we're done there, right? We're probably going to continue to build after that, but looking at this, I just want to keep those lines up there. Okay, that's the 618 to 69 of this area. Statistically speaking, we're destined for that. We have like a magnet to that zone right now. From this top now to this bottom, we also have some significance on the fibs going on. We came down, found support on the 236 here. We went a little bit below it, but on a closing basis, we found support. Found some support on the 382, but relatively disrespected it. Found support in this area, whatever, it's okay. And now we're moving up. Okay, all in all, very bullish look right here. Breaking above your 0.5, statistically speaking right now, I would say you are destined as well to go to this 618 to 69 area. And this 618 just happens to be right in the middle of that previous sweet spot, right? The 69 is a little bit higher, and that would give us like about a 43.4K price, right? Something like that. So what I'm gonna do now is delete these two lines. Ooh, maybe not, I don't know. I would say that we probably have a very strong likelihood of going somewhere around 39 to 40K from here, but a minimum expectation of about 37K and a maximum expectation of about 43K. But it can go higher, it can go lower. You know, this is all based, again, this is all based off of 618s and 6.9s, the sweet spot. If we go back in time for Bitcoin, you know, it has had moments in time where it does stop at its 786 even, right? From top to bottom here of the overall cycle, like I was just measuring, instead of checking off at the 618, 69 area, you actually built from there and went up to the 786, and then you came down and had some kind of a pullback, right? A very longer term or medium term pullback, and then of course resumed, went up. But you know, it's totally possible. The only reason I was labeling that there is from top to bottom here, we could go up to 50K. It is possible. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, eventually it will, but you know, by the end of this year, probably not. Before having a more significant pullback, probably not. But this pullback, this retracement that I'm talking about, guys, it's not going to be back to 20K. We're not going to see prices below 25K. We might not even see prices below 28K ever again in the history of Bitcoin's existence. Like it genuinely, it might be past us now. That time may have passed. Okay, so with that in mind, I do think we'll get some kind of a pullback, but it probably won't happen here. It'll probably happen again around, what was it, 37 to 43K. That's my expectations. Looking at the weekly RSI here, we are overbought, showing tremendous strength right now, man. Bounced off the 40, the bearish area of control. We even had a little tip right here on the 50 area, and now we're right just straight up into the overbought zone. Very strong move. Let's see, the last time that we were in the overbought zone on the weekly, we got in right here. Let's see. Right here was the beginning on Monday the 13th of March, right here. And was that the top? No. Was it close to the top? Yes, but we did continue to go up from there is the main point, right? The time before that when we got overbought, it was right over here. We had just gotten overbought on the 25th of October. Let's see, right there this week, and we did continue to build higher. It was near the top, but we did continue to build higher, right? Actually, from a closing point to like the top, we went up another 13%. What's 13% from here? We haven't closed the week yet either, guys, so this, this number could definitely change, but 13% from here would take us, hey, right around 39K, kind of the area that we're expecting. The time before that, when you hit your overbought zone, look at that. If you sold here, or even if you bought here, this was just the beginning, but you definitely continued to run afterwards. Long story short, what I'm trying to get at, it's not always, but it's very common. It's statistically more likely than not that when you see the weekly RSI get into the overbought zone, there will be more growth afterwards. There will be continued growth. Yes, over the last couple times we've seen it, this one excluded, it's marked a relative area near the top, but not the top itself. In fact, if you sold at the first instance of being overbought, you would have sold 13% below the top, which is a big deal. 13%, or maybe, let's see, what was this one? From here, from the closing point, that was 10.6%, which, that's a pretty big deal on a multi-hundred-billion-dollar asset, in my opinion. So I definitely expect price to grow from here. It might not grow at this pace. Again, this was the first day in almost a year, since November 10th of last year, that we have seen a day that was 10% or greater. We're probably not going to see another 10% day for some time, right? But I think that we will continue to crawl higher. Definitely, and buy the dip territory, you guys. Anything that moves down from here is just a better opportunity to buy. I would not buy here, even though I do think that it's going to go higher. I think that we will inevitably see prices below this again at some point before the halving. But I want to talk about the halving a little bit. I've mentioned this on the channel a few times, but I want to go over it one more time before we end this video because I think it's significant to keep in mind, okay? So the first halving that happened was November 28th of 2012, okay? That would be this, and it was November 28th. Let's do it on the weekly. We'll do it on the weekly. That way we can get a little bit better, a more in-depth analysis, right? Let's see. November, where are you? All the way over here. Okay, so from this top here to November 28th, which would have been this week here, right? We'll do from top to top, or top to close. We had a 60% pullback from the all-time high to when the halving was, the very first halving for Bitcoin ever in its history. We bottomed out well before then, but by the time of the halving, the literal date itself, the week of it at least, we were down 60% from the previous all-time high. Let's take into effect the next one, right? The next all-time high came in here, and the next halving date was July 9th of 2016, I believe. July 9th. I was just looking at it. That's why I don't have this like recited by heart, though I should, but I think it was July. Let me double check. Let's see. July 9th. Yeah. So it wasn't this week. It was actually the week before. And if we take it at the close, yeah, the close would probably be closer to where it was. That's a 47.6% difference, right? From the top to the date of the halving, the week that the halving happened, 47%, 47.6, and a 60% difference, okay? This is all going to make sense in a second if you haven't seen it before. The last halving happened in May of 2020. It was actually May, I think it was this week, or no, it was May 9th? May 11th. It was May 11th. It was this week. So technically at the beginning, it was a 55.9% difference, but maybe it was here 51% difference at the weekly close. May 11th, I'm not making it up, right? So of this week, from the high point to the closing point of that week, 51% difference. Okay, so looking at those numbers, we've got a 60% difference from the first halving, 47.6% difference from the second halving, and a 51% difference from the last halving. I think it's well within reason to believe that we're not going to be anywhere near our all-time highs by this halving. Okay, maybe we move up beforehand, right? We were higher than this price. This price was just below 10K we actually went up to about 14K here before then, right? We just moved down. We can definitely go higher than 51% or 40%, like by the halving. Here we even went a little bit higher, right? Like technically, at the highest we were only down 36%, but overall, if I can get it, it was something like 47%, whatever. If we take that into account, from this top to the halving date, which is going to be in April of next year, sometime in like the middle of the month, a 47% drop would put us down to 36K. Okay, 36K. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I haven't talked about it every single day, but I have been calling for prices to be below 40K and probably even below 38K at the time of the halving. Now that doesn't mean that we can't go up before then, right? I definitely have, if you know, as I was saying in the beginning of the video, I definitely have expectations that we're going to see prices above 37K, potentially even above 40K. Maybe by the end of this year, probably before, you know, like February of next year. It's probably going to happen. But by the halving, we probably have some kind of pullback that takes us back around this area, if not even lower. By the halving, we could be lower than we are even now. So for those of you that are feeling the FOMO, that like feel like this is your only opportunity to get in before we just skyrocket to new all-time highs, you might be right. It's possible. Anything can happen. We could totally have a different bullish cycle than we've had before, maybe a more bullish cycle. It's totally possible. But statistically speaking, from what we've seen with Bitcoin's behavior, the odds are we're probably going to be somewhere around this area in price, if not a little bit higher, by the halving date itself. So don't feel the rush right now. It's okay. It's okay to have cash sitting on the side, right? I personally, right now, I have 80% of all my cash allocated into crypto, which means I have about 20% sitting on the side. You know, I was waiting to buy some cryptos, and well, we had a very bullish day, and you know that 20% is still sitting in cash, and that'll just go to things that either come back or that haven't broken out yet. You know, we're gonna look for things to do that, but that's not what this video isn't about. My own personal allocations. I'm just saying it's understandable if you feel the FOMO, right? This is the most bullish day we've seen in almost a year, but there's no need to rush in and make irrational decisions right now. We are showing a lot of strength on the R side, but we're very overbought. We're very overbought. The last time that we were this overbought, we did climb higher, but when we were in this overbought zone, we were here, we actually went a little lower than that. We went a little bit lower than that. We went back to the purple line. Maybe look for that. Maybe in the coming days, months, weeks, whatever, as this purple line kind of develops, look for a pullback to that. Maybe it's at 30K, maybe it's at 31K. In fact, the very fact that we just broke through this 31K range, which has been holding us down, like right around 31 to 31.7K, maybe we come back, test a previous area of resistance as support, and then from there we go. You know, that's a very common thing that Bitcoin does. So something around 32 to 31K would probably be a good area to buy if you're looking to buy for the long term. If you're looking to buy for the short term, you want to get in and get out, you know, maybe it is a good time to buy. Don't be scared if it goes down. I wouldn't do a leveraged position right now. You know, it's maybe, let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking a leveraged long or a short, but you know, I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice, so do what you want. It's your money. But all in all, guys, the main thing that I'm trying to say, besides just ramble on forever, is that I do think that Bitcoin's going to continue to go higher. I don't think that it's done here. It might go a little bit higher. It might go up a little bit more than a little bit. But let's see. From the current price, sitting at about $34,223, I would say that we have anywhere from about a 9% more increase to go to, at the most, I would expect, it was like something like this, a 27.6% increase to go. And that doesn't mean it has to happen tomorrow. It doesn't mean that there won't be 5% or 10% pullbacks along the way. You know, like it might just move in a straight line up there, but it'll probably take by the end of this year that we see this top off, right? It'll probably crawl, and maybe it happens by the end of November. You know, I've actually got some November analysis I want to drop, but we're going to save that for November. But just hint, November is known for 20% plus drops, okay? It is known for that. So we probably will, from a statistical point, I think there's only been 3 Novembers that we didn't see a 20% or more drop. we will probably see a drop, but I'm going to go over that more in November. We're only 8 days out, but that's kind of the gist of it. Just a little spoiler alert there. But we're probably going to move up. We're probably not done here. I do think that we continue to move up, and even once we have that pullback like we did last time, it's just a higher low. It's going to be the beginning of more upside is probably what we're going to see. So I think that's all I got to say. If you guys like the video, if you want to see more content like this, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.